The other day I was watching a video of the three astronauts after they got back from landing on the moon. And this was the very first television broadcast of the astronauts after their return. And I gotta say, it was really weird. It's very, very strange. And they were so sullen. They were not excited to be there. They chose their words very, very carefully. And in fact, frankly, the three of them sitting there at the table, they look like defendants. The looks on their faces. Now, wouldn't you be on top of the world, so excited and happy after something like that, and to be talking to the world? Well, of course they weren't. You know, they couldn't tell us. You know, I completely understand how they felt. You know, several years ago, a handful of years ago, when I first started making videos for YouTube, it started with one picture. A picture of a woman on Mars. A NASA picture of a woman on Mars. And to me it was just completely astonishing. I had to get that out for people to see. I couldn't get it out quick enough. So nobody would listen. I had this picture, I had this video. Nobody would listen. So I felt like I'm walking around with the biggest secret ever in the world. That some guy from some town in the northwest of the United States, just a regular guy, has the biggest secret in the world. Nobody to listen. And then we got the astronauts, and they also have the biggest secret in the world. Way bigger than Tom's secret. They can't tell anyone. So in my case, people wouldn't listen. In their case, they can't talk about it. Can you imagine floating over the top of the moon in your tin can, looking down at that? I just couldn't imagine. Now, you know, they were looking at all the pictures. They've had, 500,000 pictures to look at. But looking at pictures is one thing. Seeing it up close and for real is something completely different. No doubt they really wished they could tell people what's going on. But this picture of the spacecraft flying over the surface makes me think about something. It's always been my belief that we landed on the moon at least once. But I don't think that anymore. And that's almost un-American to say that. But, we've had some pictures recently of the moon that have shown, at least in these individual pictures, that the moon is completely covered with structures, with buildings. One of these pictures in particular I had, that's what it showed. I've never seen a picture like that. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out if it's real. I think it is. I don't know how you could fake that. But then we have pictures like this one. Also, there's no ground. So where the hell were they supposed to land if there's no ground, right? Where are you going to plant that frickin' flag? You're not. There's no place to land. You're not going to claim it for the United States, that's for damn sure. Somebody put out the idea a couple of years back that these giant warehouses that NASA owns in Texas We're actually in the warehouses, and they are enormous. They are mock-ups of the moon's surface, or what we think the moon's surface is supposed to look like. You know, the human psyche, people all around the world, seems like from birth on up, going back 100 years, 120 years, maybe more, we've been drilled with ideas of what the moon looks like. We know it's a barren wasteland. We've seen the pictures. We've seen the astronauts trotting around up there and driving their golf carts. We know what the moon looks like. What we know is what the powers that be want us to think the moon looks like. I remember hearing that story of the warehouses and the mock-up and how ridiculous that is. But now it makes all the sense in the world. Since there's no place to land on the moon, and even if we could find a place to land on the moon, I don't think there's any place that looks like what the pictures showed of them walking around on the moon. There's no place there like that, I don't think. So now that crazy warehouse idea makes all the sense in the world. There was just one last thing that bothered me for a little while, and that is when we've sent satellites. We still go around the moon once in a while and take pictures. And so they have all these pictures from high altitude of the little golf cart tracks that we left behind when we were rolling around on the surface. So there's all these track marks. Well, there you go. That's got to be the easiest thing that they've had to manipulate to fool people. I mean, if you have to have giant warehouses filled with sand and whatever, that's quite an undertaking. But you can have one guy with Photoshop probably do those satellite pictures in 10 minutes. So I find it sad to know that we never landed on the moon. And I understand how those astronauts felt. It's sad to think that we didn't land on the moon, that the United States is just lying again. You know, the Russians said we never landed, but they kind of held off on that a little bit because it was in their interest that they keep up the facade. So the last remaining question, which is probably the biggest one of all, is how the hell do they keep us from seeing it? How do they do that? I think it goes back to the big what do you call it when they put it up? You know, I don't know. I think it's a picture we're just supposed to see. Thanks for watching, everyone.